got to go in the wall of her. Let's stick in the shinty bowl, the brick, the brack, the crack, and all. Let's call it an Irish pub. Caffrey's hard, Kilkenny, a pound, the Guinness, pint, the cabbage, crap, the I don't want to be paddy trapped. We'll call it an Irish pub. While I'll be fucked to swear.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Pubcast. My name is Brendan O'Neill, and I would normally be joined by Mike Cross and Michelle Riley. But in these first few episodes, we are revisiting our previous podcast, Boardwalk Breakdown. Basically, we're shutting down the Boardwalk Breakdown podcast and moving those 13 episodes over here so we can keep them alive and well in our archives. So, the Pubcast is our new podcast where we'll talk about all kinds of stuff and not be limited to only talking about Boardwalk Empire. And it will actually begin on episode 14. So just consider these first 13 episodes as bonus content. Sláinte. Welcome to the Boardwalk Breakdown podcast featuring Michelle Riley, Mike Cross, and me, Brendan O'Neill. If you have any comments or questions, you can contact us on Twitter at Boardwalk Break. This is part 2 of the 2-part final episode of the Boardwalk Breakdown podcast, where we recap the final episode, final season, and series finale of Boardwalk Empire. Enjoy the show. All right, so now we're down the stretch, and it's back and forth between Nucky present and Nucky past. Now we come to young Nucky standing with the Commodore at the event at the Neptune parade on the boardwalk. He sees Jillian, finds her, talks to her, says, stay there. And then...
So I missed when she... What I missed is why she was in it and then took off. Like, was she sneaking into it? Or, I don't know.
She was working on the float.
She was sort of became part of the float. Wasn't she? She snuck
in the parade.
Whatever,
she snuck into the parade.
Right, but why did she bolt?
Why didn't
she? Saw
because she saw Nucky.
And she knew...
Because Nucky wanted to take her back to wherever she was from New Jersey.
Right. She doesn't see Nucky as a protector at this point, at least.
But...
Even though he kind of has been, but it's up and down.
She was scared.
Yeah, she was scared. I mean, she's an orphan in trying to make her way, basically. Mm-hmm. So then Nucky finds her, talks to her. Jillian says, Mrs. Thompson said, you want to be good, but you don't know how. Another telling quote about Nucky's life. Like, you want to be the good guy, but you don't know how. You can never make that jump to being the good guy. You're always kind of the bad guy. Then going down this path, we see back and forth. Nucky is presented with the choice from the Commodore. You can be the sheriff. Here's the badge. If you help me with these less than great decisions I'm going to have you help me with. These bring these young girls to me so I can keep them in the workforce.
Right. But there was something, though, prior to that where he was stripped of his deputy badge. Like, he didn't understand what was going on.
Right. It's, again, the Commodore just shitting on him.
Basically feeling like he was making it seem like he was...
The Commodore's flexing his muscle over this deputy sheriff.
Right, but... So it's like he stripped him of that, but then it came back around where he was offered to be the sheriff. Like, it was just an interesting mind game that was being played.
Because the Commodore doesn't want him to be sheriff. He wants him to be his official lackey to go get these little girls for him. And in order for Nucky to sign up for that, he has to have the sheriff's
He basically just said, I don't need you, you're an idiot, get out of here.
If you want to be sheriff...
Then he saw him talking with Jillian, and he thought, you know what, if you want this, you'll do this for me.
Yeah.
And he took the bait, and he did it.
He took the bait, put his hand out, Jillian takes his hand, and we know what happened from there.
And this is the symbolic piece of this is that both of these deaths that happen in this, or two of the deaths that happen take place on the boardwalk. And this one is the death,
That's the death of
symbolically
Jillian.
Right. Innocent.
Of both.
Yeah.
well,
both
yeah,
of them.
really, it breaks both of them into
Yeah.
a different category, right? So,
And I
Very-
think they did and maybe you talked about this last week, but I think they did a great job of casting that young Jillian.
It was great.
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't, and she was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
she was great.
Great.
She had that same
mannerisms,
was.
Same
just
cadence.
look,
Very
and it was.
Yeah.
Both of those young characters were.
I agree. And the Nucky
Very
character I thought
Yes,
was really
exactly.
good too.
Oh, yeah,
I thought
exactly.
I thought he was great.
But-
It was a good what do you call it? Like a
Impersonation?
impersonation, I guess.
Well, so we said, while the kid did great, half of that role is played by a dental prosthetic. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
So
Of the
funny.
young-
Ginormous
Nucky.
teeth.
half of
and
it
hers
is
was the
porcelain.
haircut.
That's all it is. In the haircut, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
I do think though that his facial expressions and his
Right,
voice
he-
cadence,
Yes.
he did
Oh,
a
he
good
did an
job with
amazing
that.
job.
I thought it
mannerisms.
was
He,
really
he
good.
pulled it off. And then we come back to present day Nucky. And this one he was at his burlesque club, getting his things. The Italians are now running it, and he gets a call.
On his personal line.
He looks at and he finds the card of Mabel, so he's mentally back talking or thinking about Mabel again. I thought that was weird because that is never wrapped up again.
No.
But before
Right.
you get to that point, though, like when he first walked into the club, it was like he was going totally into somebody else's world. He had to be
Yeah.
patted down.
Right.
He had to-
Right.
like it was like he was a stranger in
Right.
His own
that
home.
in his own in his
His
own
old place,
home.
he was still he wasn't welcome
and
there.
how quickly that happened.
Yep.
You know that there was just no connection. There's no relationship. There's no trust.
Yep, and then he gets a call on his personal line from the Ritz, and it's somebody saying they pinched Joel for thievery, purse snatching in the lobby of the Ritz. So they want
It's
Nucky
a
to come.
situation.
Yeah,
It's
a
a
situation.
situation.
Come take care of it. So, cut to Nucky scolding Joel at this coffee shop.
Coffee
or
shop
whatever,
place,
right?
yeah.
Again, Nucky's trying to protect someone who could go the wrong way. He's trying to put him on the right path. Go back home. He gives him money, gives him more money, and Joel rips it up in front of him.
So do you think he was really drunk, that kid?
No.
No.
It's just an act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all a ruse.
Totally a ruse.
Yep. Then we see Nucky walking the boardwalk, sort of aimlessly, which makes sense because there's nothing on the boardwalk that he now has a connection to.
Right.
He no longer has the Ritz. He no longer has the club. He doesn't live or breathe on that boardwalk at all. He's just there as a tourist, almost. And then he sees the King Neptune billboard.
Yes.
Obviously, a throwback to his previous experience with the parade and Jillian and all that. And he sees two guys under the billboard eyeballing him. Who are those guys? Are those guys? Maybe those are the guys
The
that
two shooters.
Luciano
Yeah.
Yes.
stick on him. They're going to shoot
That's
him, right?
totally what he thought
Okay.
he saw.
And of
Right.
course, that's what I thought. Then Nucky turns away from those guys to walk away. Turns right into Joel. And then we have a discussion of Joel back and forth with Nucky. And Joel says, when Mima talked about you, I couldn't tell if it was love or hate.
Yeah.
Mima being
Grandma.
Jillian. Yeah.
Grandma Jillian. I'm Tommy Darmody.
And the well of pride I had Serge.
Michelle is proven right. Which is
Totally
awesome.
proven right.
And while-
comments?
I mean, we knew that all along that's who he was, but
We didn't know all along.
Well,
Michelle
We had a pretty
knew
good
all along.
idea.
We all
I
suspected.
felt pretty strongly of who he
Yes.
was supposed to be. But
Yes.
what I loved is how that actor created a connection to Jimmy, right? I mean,
Right.
it felt like he was somehow related either in how he spoke or how he
Yeah,
looked. There
it was
something
another good
about-
casting to Michael Pitt's
totally
character.
agree. I mean, there was something about it. It's like,
I didn't
oh my
get
god,
that.
it's
I
I
did.
got immediately,
Especially this
Immediately.
this episode, I definitely did. when he was in the jail cell, when he was talking to him in the diner, it totally looked like a young Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I noticed it more this
time than
I did.
before.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually...
did you project that because you knew who he was?
I thought this episode...
No, you
But
must
I thought it was.
first
But
came
I
out.
thought it was him 4 episodes ago.
I totally agree with you, Tim.
When what's his name picked him out, and I didn't think of
Right.
him as,
No, but I'm saying, did you project the
No,
physical
they obviously
connection
thought
to
it
him?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he looked
I
like
didn't
reminded
see
you
it,
of
but
him.
maybe if I
didn't.
went back and looked at it, I'd
So then,
I don't know.
obviously, Nucky's shot 3 times by...
In the
Twice in the chest.
Twice
and
in-
once
In the face.
In the face.
and then the guys who
Tried to hide
tackle Joel are the 2 guys that were eyeballing Nucky, I believe.
Yes, they were.
FBI guys or cops.
Task guy,
It was somebody who was
Some agent of
not
some
there.
sort.
It was an
Yeah.
agent of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't someone who was there to whack them. It was someone there to tail them
Yeah.
for the government in some
Yeah.
way.
And the final scene is young Nucky swimming through the Atlantic, trying to get
Taking
the
a
quarters
quarter. Yeah.
from
And
Commodore.
he grabs
And he
one.
grabs one. He finally grabs one.
Finally got one.
Finally got one.
I also thought, and this is so morbid, but I thought like the makeup job that they did on him, like he looked just drained of all.
He was
life.
so
And,
white.
like,
I noticed
it was-
that.
It was,
Yeah.
it was really striking.
I think
Like,
that's
he-
Steve Buscemi's normal look.
It is, but it was
But
more
it was-
so in
No,
But it
this.
was
I agree.
different.
They
It was
did.
different in that
He was
scene. Like, I
sour
thought
the
that
whole
they,
episode.
yeah,
He was
like
sour.
it was a different look. It was like he was drained of all life and all energy. It was just like he was
He was
it
done.
He was done, yeah. He was at the
He
end.
was just done.
So
Yeah, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
satisfied on the ending.
I think so. I
I mean, I was.
Yeah, I was. I like the fact that it happened on the boardwalk. I like the fact
There you
that
go.
it was about the personal, like it was a personal issue that brought him down. It wasn't the gangster.
Business.
It wasn't
The
the
gangster
business. It wasn't the all that stuff. He was able to navigate that very well, and I
Well-
think that goes back to his strengths of being able to kind of play the game, if you will. But what brought him down was his personal choices about his personal life.
Well, and we
Which were always a mess.
Which
Yeah,
were
but I
always-
think this
yeah.
entire show, I mean, ostensibly there were all these, syndicate things, but every time you found a storyline compelling, it was because of the personal aspect
right,
of it.
right.
Right.
Capone with his deaf kid,
Yeah.
the fact that he interacted. I mean, actually, one of the most
Harold,
underrated characters, I think, in this whole thing was Capone's brother.
Yeah, it was
He
fantastic.
actually
Yeah.
was a fantastic character in terms of just like where you could see how brothers would try to help. My brother's fucking crazy, but I'm gonna try and even this
When
out.
we all kind of, and it's not a huge leap that we made, but we all expected Nucky to die in this final episode,
Yeah.
even though the actual Nucky did not.
Well, he died of old age.
Right,
Like,
because
in
this
around
is
1940,
a
somewhere.
character inspired by the real guy. The historical Nucky Johnson did not die on the boardwalk at all. I mean,
yeah, but I
Right, yeah.
never expected this to follow that.
Right.
So I always was waiting.
right.
For,
I'm saying it wasn't a big leap, but it was nice to see that we were on the right track thinking of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that it happened on the boardwalk. That it didn't happen like off some crazy road
Right.
somewhere, or that
Had
it
to.
happened at like a hotel or whatever.
It was
Yeah, I
like-
mean,
like
that's
that it happened
obviously
right on the
symbolic.
boardwalk. That's
Yeah.
It would have been. Did anyone catch where it happened on the boardwalk?
No.
Because where it should have happened was either in front of the Ritz.
Right.
I don't think it was in front of the Ritz.
Well,
I
the
thought it
Ritz-
was like in front of a theater. Like,
No,
I
the Ritz
thought it
was still
in
there.
front of
Yeah,
the, like,
I was thinking that was
Not
Babette's.
Babette's.
that blew up,
Babette's
yeah.
is gone, so you
Wasn't
couldn't do
it
that.
from
I
the
thought it was
Ritz?
in
I
front
don't
of the
think
theater.
it was in front of his.
No, it
club
was
or
just a
anything.
coffee shop.
Yeah, it was like a random.
Yeah,
really?
random spot.
Yeah,
So,
where
but
he bought him a cup of coffee for a nickel. And
I really
then
do
tore
love
up
the connection.
But that's not where it happened, though. That he had.
No, it happened. He
Couple
had
doors
walked,
down.
but whatever.
But
It
I
was a
thought
few
it was
doors
a
down. It was
theater.
nowhere.
And so that
Was it where the Twinkle Twinkle thing was happening?
No, I don't know. It doesn't really
but
matter.
the theater,
It's just
the theater,
The boardwalk
as-
is the key, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, but what I do like, if I am right, if it did happen in front of a theater, I mean, it's about the acting, it's the play, it's about the
Good point.
the
Right.
story.
Great point.
And I thought there was something about the signage that was out front, like it was like an A-frame thing that talked about tickets or something.
Yeah,
like
like
that.
show
like an
times
entrance,
or yeah.
I mean, this show is that dense that stuff could have been in there. We just didn't see it the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's not, it should have been.
You're right.
Terrence Winter, damn it.
Call Terrence. So, kill of the week?
So,
Because I have a strong argument.
before we get there, creep of the week, Commodore.
Commodore, yeah.
Yes.
Creep of the week, creep of the series, whatever.
Creep of the
Right?
series.
I
Commodore.
actually, to be
Don't.
contrary, I would say Nucky. The fact that Nucky took the bait. We knew for some time that Commodore was a creep.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
I mean, Nucky was really the creep of the week. When
But creep
he
of the
took
series-
the bait and did it.
Creep of the series, though, does good.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt.
Creep of the week. Okay, I'll go with that. That's fine.
I mean, he was so creepy to do that.
Yeah.
Even though you knew that's what he did. You've known it since day one. It's just so creepy.
Quality kill of this episode.
I'm
we know
strongly
we
going to
have Nucky
argue.
and we have
It's got to be
Narcissus.
Nucky. I think it has to be Nucky just because of the importance.
Of course. But I
And you're going to go with who?
I'm going with the Libyan. Just because I couldn't stand
I
it.
do find that to be a
Narcissus?
more dramatic kill, actually.
That was... The Narcisse kill was more satisfying to me. How's that?
I would
It was
agree
more
with
of a
you.
misdirection
I agree
going
with
in.
you on that.
Yeah.
I mean, Nucky was kind of just an assumed
Yeah. You were
just
thing.
waiting
That it
for
was
it.
just, yeah, I mean, it was the whole episode, and actually every episode leading up to it. It's kind of like, okay, so how is this going to go down?
Right.
It wasn't about if, it was when.
And we didn't know if Narcisse was... We didn't know if we were
Yeah.
going to see Narcisse again in the finale.
Right.
We thought he
Right.
might have been when he walked off out of the alley with Chalky.
Yeah.
That could have been the last time we saw
Right.
Narcisse. So...
No, I liked that he met the end that he needed to meet.
Exactly.
You know, like
Coming
if he,
out of church, preaching to his
yeah,
people.
like
especially.
just a hypocrite.
On his way to the
Yeah.
hoe house.
Well, he was a creep.
He was a total
Oh,
creep.
God, he was terrible.
Looking back, though, like, Luciano hated Narcisse so much. He tried to kill him
Multiple times.
3 times?
Well, even when they were sitting around the table, and I don't know that we really talked about that, but they talked about the
Yeah.
the 7 families or whatever
Right.
sitting
Yes.
at the round table, nobody's at the head, and they even went so
Right.
far as to talk about the Irish, the Jews, the Italians, but made a point of not mentioning the blacks or the time they would have said the Negroes.
Libyan.
The Libyans,
Like they never
yeah.
would have mentioned that, and I think that was kind of telling too of what was going to happen
Right.
with
Right.
Narcisse because it was an
Work with these other
exclusion that
groups.
happened. Right.
Not that group, though.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
Good stuff.
Favorite?
You know what? I don't think that was. I actually disagree. I don't think that his disdain for Narcisse was because he was black or African American or whatever you want to say. It was because he wouldn't play ball. He'd
No,
be happy
right.
to make money on all those other people, the Irish and so on and so forth, as long as everybody's
Playing his game.
Right. But the
paying.
black boss was keeping him out of the black neighborhood.
And I don't know. Different time,
I don't
different
Because
know.
of business
I don't know that I
reasons.
agree
Yeah,
with you, Michelle.
everyone
Right.
knew
I don't
being
know. I
black
think there
that
was
Right.
something.
just
Right.
didn't
It was
adhere to-
symptomatic of the business reason. Yeah.
I don't know that I agree. I mean, I think there was something like an innate thing that with them that.
I think I kind of lean
Damn it.
that way too.
We must all
I
agree.
just-
Kidding. Okay. Wrapping the season up, or the series up. Looking at all 5 seasons,
Yes.
series as a whole, around the table, favorite character.
Chip.
I'm starting with Michelle.
Jip Rossetti.
Chip Rossetti. Why?
Because it was just batshit crazy. He
Batshit
was
crazy.
brilliantly played by the actor, and he was just such a force in the show. He was my favorite.
I will say this. In the half-hour retrospective they did on the series, they talked to all the actors, and the guy who played Meyer Lansky, who's a British guy, he said, they asked what their favorite scene was that they were involved in, and he mentioned the scene when Jip insulted like a table like
Yes.
this with 5 people, and he went around the
Right.
room and he absolutely thrashed every single one.
Like with a
of them.
shotgun. Ba-boom, ba-boom.
Yeah,
Everybody
and
was
it was
going
just
down.
words.
he was with his words, and it was an incredible piece of acting.
Yeah.
And he was
Bobby
great.
Cannavale.
Cannavale. He was very good, and he would be a close second for me. But Richard Harrow is my favorite character from the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Just because he was, and I think we've stated this before on previous podcasts, he was the only character I think that had any redeeming qualities in the
Yeah.
entire show.
He was the closest thing to a moral compass on the
Right.
show.
Yeah, and I think
Right.
that's the way you described it.
Yeah.
And and that's Probably what made him the most
he was
interesting.
the closest thing to a moral compass because he was the only one up front about being a killer.
Right.
That's how bad.
Yeah.
No, it's not that he was doing anything good or positive, but
He
he
just
was.
wasn't a
Knew who he
hypocrite.
was.
Yeah, he wasn't a hypocrite about it. And the character just had a lot of depth, and they played that character very well over the course of the 3.5 seasons that he was around.
That's Angelica Houston's son, right?
It-
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and
I shouldn't say that. He probably doesn't
yeah.
want to be known as Angelica Houston.
well, it was awesome.
Famous Houston.
Right.
Acting
really.
Empire,
family. Yeah,
Acting
exactly.
Empire, yeah, continues on.
So my favorite was Chalky
Oh,
I love Chalky. Love him.
because I think he was one of, if not the smartest character on
Yeah.
the show,
I would say
and faced, arguably the biggest challenges of any character on the
Absolutely,
show.
all of them. Yeah, he was 10 steps behind
mean,
him, though, just for being.
We always said like Nucky was always 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody. Even when he made mistakes, he made them purposefully.
Yeah.
Chalky was a close second. He always sort of had that next step in mind. Whether he could get there or not, that was the trick. But that character had like a quiet dignity, but rage, but frustration. And
Yeah.
that was a complex dude, and
Yeah.
that was my favorite for sure.
He was great.
I mean, I love the 3 characters that you all just mentioned. There are times where I'm like, I think it's Jip, I think it's Harrow, I think it's Chalky. What I liked about Jip's character was what happened when he would go home and how his sisters or
Yeah.
whatever would just belittle him, and he became just a schmuck on wheels. Like he just
Yep.
Yeah.
folded under this, and it's
Fall
so
under the
inter-
family hierarchy,
It's so
right? Yep.
interesting how family can be the great equalizer
Sure.
in everything.
Right,
else.
or the motivator for
So
him
I
acting
always
the
thought
way he
that
did.
dynamic was
Yeah.
really interesting.
You're a tough
And
guy outside these walls, but
Yes,
inside
but
you're nothing.
inside,
Right,
you know
right.
what? You're just our little brother, and we're going to smack you around, and we're going to tease you, and we're going to make you feel like an idiot. You know, and I love that dynamic about that character. I will tell you, when Richard Harrow's character died, it was such a bummer for me because I loved that character in this show, and maybe it's because there was something good, or like he was always trying to be good.
You
that I
know why?
liked.
He had connections to Wisconsin. That's
too,
why.
yeah.
Well,
Oh
there's
my God.
something that draws you to
On Wisconsin.
No,
Kidding, of course.
but I liked that character element in this series tremendously. So, and Chalky was just a great character. I loved his voice. I loved the dynamic that he brought. It was this kind of quiet rage that it was always simmering under the.
It was always on
under the
display.
surface,
But it was always,
But it was
right
just-
there.
It
You could
was
always see
right
it.
there, like
You could see it.
You
Subtle.
could see it, but it
Simmering.
didn't bubble over all the
Smoldering.
time. And I did like his commitment to family and his daughters and stuff like that. I really did enjoy that about that.
Well, and
character.
we can get into this later, but that's an element of most of the characters that we talk about. Always had
All
a family connection,
All of them.
Yeah.
inspiration for what they do or whatever it was a family show.
Interesting.
Cameron, who was
In
your
quotes.
favorite kid?
yeah.
Yeah, and I said this the last time I visited. It would have to be Jip. I think he was for that. I mean, that was the best season that
Of
I
the show.
of the show, and he just was.
Season 3.
Yeah, season 3, and he just outshined everyone else that
Yeah,
season.
he was just amazing.
He was a man of his own.
And actually, that was really when the story in the first 2 seasons clearly was set on Nucky, and when Chip came into the picture, that was really when Nucky's story started unraveling.
Exactly.
And the other stories really started
Yep.
developing.
It also produced the best finale. I mean, maybe next to this
bloodbath.
one, but Capone getting out of the car and saying, "I've been in a car for 18 hours.
Yeah.
I need a shower, or I need a bath. I need some chow, and then we're going to sit down and figure out who dies."
That's right.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
And 68 people took it in the final episode that year.
Took it.
It was good times.
So it's got to be Chip.
All right. And this will be a quick one. Least favorite character.
Narcisse.
Wow, I'm surprised you said that. Narcisse.
He just bugged me at every turn.
Yeah.
God,
And-
this is like a tough one. Oof.
And the thing is, I do honestly, Mike was the one that brought it up several weeks ago. I still don't know why they let him live. I don't know why they didn't put a bullet in his head way sooner than they did. He was a problem at every turn.
Interesting.
I've got because everybody appears to be stumped. I'll throw one out there, and it's not a main character, but he was in it enough. I'm going to include him here, and this is partially. And I let me couch this entire thing. I have a huge bias toward this character.
I like how it's already starting. Go ahead.
So my least favorite character, because he was portrayed like such a wimp, was Dean O'Banion.
Oh, Jesus.
This is too much of a stretch.
I'm stretching, fine.
Okay.
But he's talked about this a lot, actually.
No, I know he has. I know he has.
You are the
when
only
we were
person
watching-
I guarantee
Fine.
who cares about
Good.
it.
But he was a bigger force to Capone than was in this. And I know that
I love it.
the story is not a Capone story. I get
I'm
that.
crying Chicago Mick alert right now.
Yeah.
This is a
That's what I'm
Chicago
saying.
Mick alert.
Fine.
Totally.
Love it.
But
Get
this
your
guy
patty
should
on.
have had a little bit more of a backbone to him. The guy was a
His teeth were
pussy.
too nice. He didn't drink enough. He was a flower guy. I mean, what? I mean,
He was a
he
lace
was
curtain
sober.
Irishman.
He was sober.
Shanty.
Shanty
It
Irish.
was a lace curtain.
I'm kidding, of course, but
Look, I don't necessarily disagree with
It's
you.
a
I'm not
smaller
saying
character.
that, but it's a
Smaller
small character.
That's
We
funny,
gotta
though,
start
that
thinking
it
in.
bugs you so much.
it pisses me off a little bit.
You know how he is. He's the angry Irishman. I think for me, I mean, I'm gonna. I've held this line for the entire series, and while I do detest Narcisse more than pretty much anyone on the planet, I have to go with Jillian because she's just such.
I almost
Jillian
did.
is the
I almost
cornerstone
did.
of the whole thing.
I didn't say she wasn't an important cog in the wheel here. I
She's
just
one
said
of my favorites.
she's my
actually.
least
She's
favorite
so
character.
freaking bananas, but she's a great character.
Now, what I would have said before,
Brilliantly acted.
brilliant, absolutely, Gretchen Mol did great with that.
Jeez.
I would have said before the season started that Margaret might have been at the top of that
I
list,
agree.
and she
I'm
completely
with you.
went
She turned
180.
me. She turned me this season. I was about ready to be done with that, Larry.
All right, I'm gonna make amends to my previous statement.
Whoa.
Let me guess. It's
Guess.
going to be another side character.
No,
Narcisse.
it's a major character.
All right. Who?
Least favorite, Commodore,
Ah,
I like that.
I like that.
because his character, the old Commodore, had some mystery to him. There was something there, and then when we saw the young Commodore, it was never realized. It was never He wasn't deep enough.
Two-dimensional.
Yeah.
It was not. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
simple
think
guy. Pretty straightforward
now.
guy.
Having said that,
Having said that, I appreciate the acting chops, the portrayal of young Commodore.
I totally do. I thought the guy was excellent. Michelle?
he was awesome.
But
I had trouble in that first episode because I was a little taken back. I told you that I thought it might have been Nick Offerman when I first
Right.
saw him. But I did.
Why didn't they give the part to Nick
Hilarious.
Offerman? How awesome would that have been if Nick Offerman was
That
the
was
young
my
guy?
first thought.
theoretically, the role is more than a mustache. But yes,
But
I
yes,
understand.
you know.
But I did come around to really appreciating what
I
he
think
brought to it.
John Connolly. I think that character could have been written a little more with a
Yeah,
little more
the
depth.
fault is in the.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he was as shallow as a puddle throughout the entire course of the series. He was, though. I mean, there was never any depth to that character. It was always depravity.
He was the badness behind Nucky, and it didn't
You,
sort of.
I think you really the problem with that character is you really saw the machination of the work that it was taking to drive the story as opposed
Yeah,
to
It was totally
the
that.
character.
Yeah, I mean, he was a vehicle to tell
Yep.
the story, so he had to be two-dimensional.
So it's
Agreed.
much more about the device and then than it was the actual portrayal.
Agreed.
All right. Allison,
Worst
least
or
favorite?
I don't
hated,
know. Well,
most disliked.
I really struggle with this question because I really did like all the characters and I appreciated
That's where
their
I was.
role in the show. I always wanted Eli to man up.
Yeah,
You know,
Eli was
like
a
I
pain in the
just
ass.
like
What are you waiting
honestly,
for? That's
it's
his
like,
thing.
my God, man up.
But it took me 4 I did not like him.
Yeah.
The whole same with Margaret. Until this season, I started like going.
He was
okay,
so-
I mean, there was an interesting dynamic,
Yeah.
and I loved
Same
it
with
with Van
Margaret.
Alden. And,
The Van
that was a
Alden-
great- It was
We'll come to that in a
entertaining.
minute.
Van Alden
It was
was excellent.
entertaining, but like that character, I'm like, grow up here, man, and just do something. Like
I know.
he
Yeah, he
was
just couldn't get there.
Constantly this sad sack, and he was always waiting for somebody to tell him what to do.
I
and-
liked him early on when he was almost like
not like him.
Nucky's henchman, but
Yeah.
that never.
It just
continued.
there was something about that character that
Yep.
When he tried to kill his own brother, that was like, this
Yeah.
is not someone I can
Yeah.
really follow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I and the character, the actor played him
Oh,
really
very
well. Like it was
well.
Brilliantly,
perfect. Like he
yeah.
did
Very
exactly what he needed to do. The
Great
character
actor.
was just,
Shea,
and
yeah.
that was the
Shea
whole point.
Wiggum.
If you can
Shea
get
Wiggum, yeah.
if you can get people to feel that way about that character, that's a good.
Oh, yeah,
thing.
he was
so
great.
I thought, so that would probably be my least
favorite.
Tim.
Tim,
This will be a surprise.
is this going to be a shocking
Ooh, I like
barn
it.
burner?
I like it already.
No, he's being
No,
facetious.
Mickey
Mickey
Doyle.
Doyle. I just,
Good.
I mean, I appreciated him for what he was.
He was
And
so annoying. He was my
just-
second after
and
Narcisse.
just to think that he was on the show to
I
the
get it.
second to the last episode,
Yeah.
that just boggles my mind.
Well, to
Yeah,
me,
how he survived, like he didn't get a bullet to the head.
He's the
I totally-
cockroach.
to me, he was not only the cockroach, but he was the comic relief throughout the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I
right?
mean, he served its purpose.
He
and the
certainly
actor was
did.
very
There were
good.
times when Mickey would enter.
Oh yeah,
and it would
nothing
cut
against the actor when we're talking about our
Oh
least
no,
favorite
no, no!
characters.
It's about character. It's not
about
necessarily
the-
about the actor. It's
Yeah.
like the guy who played Narcisse is unbelievable.
Oh my
Jeffrey
God,
Wright.
Jeffrey Wright, one of the
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
actors on the show,
Yeah.
but one of the most annoying
Ugh,
characters of all
couldn't
time.
stand it.
And no one
give-
mentioned Jimmy Darmody.
Well,
just
Okay,
because
now
it was
I actually
early.
have been regretting mentioning Jimmy because I have to say, I said one of my, my favorite character. I really loved Jimmy, and I mean that was ballsy move when they killed him
Yeah,
in the
I
second
totally agree.
season
Yeah.
because I was like, what the hell? And that's actually one of the things that got me really watching the
Into
show
the-
because I was sort of like, what
He
kind
was-
of show kills
kill
the
off
main
that
Primary
character?
character, yeah.
he was my Noah Wiley of ER. That's what I'm
There you
saying.
go.
Yeah. And I really liked him.
Carter.
He's the
Carter.
character you
He
saw the show through.
But with Jimmy, the whole time there was a conflict. I mean, you could always see him wanting to do well versus not.
Yeah.
He was more like a Richard Harrow in the sense
Yeah.
that he sort of like he hadn't made peace, but he had been irrecoverably altered by World War II and sort of.
World War One.
Oh, sorry,
World War I and his mother.
Yeah,
Yeah, his
Yeah.
crazy ass
mother.
mother.
His mother did more damage than World War
But
I.
he loved his child and he
Yeah.
loved his wife.
His
as
wife.
weird as that was,
And Harrow.
he-
I liked the
He did what he
the
could for
relationship
others.
between
He was
Jimmy and
underrated, I
Harrow.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to give honorable mention on the positive side to Van Alden
Yes,
Without question.
I totally agree.
and Rothstein.
You want to
Yeah.
give honorable
Oh,
mention
Honorable
to who?
mention
This
to
one.
Rothstein
Yes.
and Van Alden as my second tier favorite
Yes.
characters.
Compelling character.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
both
with
those
you.
guys.
Rothstein, the guy who played Rothstein, who was interesting to
That was
see
your
in that
favorite,
30.
wasn't it?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's great.
The 30-minute segment,
Yeah,
the preview, and which I would encourage anyone who hasn't seen to watch because it's so valuable to see it even
on
after the
demand.
show.
Yep.
Just because he is like somebody who morphed into that character.
Yeah.
He looks absolutely nothing like Rothstein.
yes.
Like nothing.
Right.
And just the cadence of his voice and the way he held himself in the
Very
can I have a
cool.
saucer of milk?
Very
Well, and I
And
think
all
when
the
I-
things.
When I talked to Brendan and I were talking about the show, I'm like the guy with the face and the smile.
Right.
Like there's something about
Thrusting,
his
yeah.
face that was like he just evolved into this character,
Yeah.
and he had such a look that was so unique and so different from anything else. Like he became that character.
There are a number of great acting jobs in this show, and you could point them all out. I mean, they're all
Timmer
top
just
notch.
brought one up that reminded me.
Let's go. What is it?
Angela, who are-
Lucy.
Lucy.
Yeah.
It's an annoying
Talk about
character.
bad
Annoying
shit
character.
crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she was out there, man.
Yeah, she was. She was. And I still
I
like
think-
Owen for the season and a half. That he
Oh
was
yeah,
on.
right.
I like
Owen's a
lot,
good
too.
one.
But when they pulled him out of that crate,
Oh,
He
All
was
right,
handsome. I
so
liked him,
yeah.
good looking Irishman.
we've done Creep of the series. Do we have a memorable quality kill of the series?
Van Alden for me.
Van Alden's a good one.
I mean, even for the
Owen's
series,
a pretty good one.
Owens was good, but Van Alden's was epic. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like violent, crazy, Eli shaking.
I would say
Jimmy Darmody?
Nucky killing Jimmy.
That was probably the most pivotal
Yeah.
kill
That
of the
was
series,
the most
right?
pivotal kill of
Not the
the
most fun one.
And Jip was just on a rampage, so I mean,
Jip
he certainly got the
killed
number.
by his own men.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but I just mean he killed a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that rampage in the whorehouse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was,
Richard,
but
yeah.
That was
that
Harrow.
scene with
Yeah.
Harrow.
And the camera work on that, where he follows him
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was really good. And how Jip doesn't die. Like, I mean,
He's a cockroach.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Walking around and he's buck naked, I think.
Yeah. No, that was a different. That was when he.
Oh, that was when Jillian
Jillian was trying to kill. No,
Jillian
Jillian
with
was
the
trying to
belt.
With the
kill.
belt.
Yes,
Right,
that was in
right.
the whorehouse. But the scene where Jip was naked was when they were. There was a newspaper boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh right.
And they
Belt
came to
transfer.
where he was
Right,
staying. Right.
Right.
They came to where he was staying, and
He
he,
was-
said, "Take this off me. Something's going on downstairs."
Yeah.
And he held up this whore, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy it was Bugsy, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it was Siegel.
No, but yeah. Right.
I
But
mean,
it wasn't the
somebody,
newspaper
yeah.
boy. And then they shot the newspaper kid. But that was the difference.
Any storylines we thought went awry, like didn't go the way that maybe it should have, or we thought it would have, to make more sense with the series?
To me, everything
Any
kind of
issues?
played out
Yeah.
the way it should have.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure
I
over the
thought
course of the series there are some,
the
but-
lesbian relationship with Jimmy's wife seems somewhat gratuitous
Right.
at this point. Like, I don't know where that was
Right.
Wasn't
going or
necessary.
why that was
Right.
happening.
Right.
She's
Well-
dead now, so like, what was the point other
Yeah.
than ratings? I guess.
I would also offer the Jillian wardenness at the
Yeah, they
hospital.
said that
made
was
no
bad.
sense.
That
That
was
was kind of a weird,
very
thing.
honest,
Like,
and they devoted a significant amount of time.
like,
But it
in
was
that
still
one
a short
episode,
arc,
they really
right?
kind of played it up like something
was-
was going to come of it. And
Yeah.
I was like, well,
But it wasn't the whole episode.
No,
I mean,
but it was,
I know,
that's
It was
it.
a significant part,
But
yeah.
why go so
Where did it
far
go
as
to
why
go
so
nowhere?
far as to
I
do
guess
that?
it
go
was just to
nowhere.
prove just how desperate she was in there.
Yeah.
I guess
Maybe.
I don't know, but yeah, I
But
agree.
it was,
that was
wasn't
an
it all
inordinate.
just for Jillian to get paper so she could write her note to... Wasn't that the whole reason why she...
I think that
she
might be
wanted
the only
letter.
payoff.
She needed that
Oh,
paper
she
to
needed
write
the
the
paper.
letter to Nucky, and that was the
Yeah.
only way she could get
Oh.
to her stuff.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with you, but it just felt like it was there was so much more that was
Built
going to
into
come
it,
from that.
yeah.
I
It
totally
seems
agree
yeah.
with you.
to-
The payoff
Yeah.
wasn't there.
Yeah, I
right.
agree.
The payoff wasn't there.
So, back a couple of episodes ago, and this goes to the storyline I didn't think worked or whatever. Nucky in the bar with the drunk chicks.
Yeah,
and
that
fighting-
was a
yeah.
non
Hang on.
sequitur.
So, a couple days after our episode that we recorded, I get a note from Tim saying the reason why he was in the bar and was drunk and was just sort of out of his mind is he was mourning the loss of Sally Wheat.
Yes, that was the whole reason why he was there. Was because he was...
We didn't connect those dots. We hated that whole scene, but
That troubled us quite
I
a
don't
bit.
love that
We
scene
devoted 2
now, but it
podcasts
makes
to
a lot more sense.
Yeah,
now.
I don't love it now, but it does make it does
Because the
kinda tie it
previous
together.
episode
So-
was him getting that call.
My honorable
Psycho.
mention for most hated character is Sally Wheat.
No, that's
Nah,
your most
Sally
hated
was great.
character.
I don't like her
was
whole
great.
thing.
I liked
I
it.
liked
I liked it. I liked it.
I liked her.
All right, I will stand alone on this island. Thank
Stand
you.
alone.
As my want is to do. Okay, anything else we're missing in the series?
I'll tell you one other thing I didn't get
Yeah.
is the whole, and I don't know his name, Junior.
Sprout.
Uncle Jew.
Uncle June. Uncle Jew.
Like, I could never really figure out how he fit into the hierarchy with the Commodore.
I think he was like his right hand
Yeah.
kind of man. I mean, that's
Do you
what I
remember
would take from that.
the old
episode.
Commodore and the old guy with the big chops? And the
Sure,
same guy.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
He's like his confidant.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
conciliatory.
consigliere.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
we go.
Confidant, yeah.
yeah. He's the elder statesman to the Commodore, advising him, kind of, sort of.
All in all, I mean, I was pleased with the finish. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe that guy was the Commodore in the day and was
Yeah,
passing it on.
yeah,
to-
he might have been the original Commodore.
Right.
And the Commodore was his Nucky.
I don't think so.
Who knows? We're stretching.
All right. Overall, I've said this before. Like, I don't have a lot of dramatic series that I'm going to hold in super high regard in my own personal viewing history, but this is number one for me.
I loved it.
I tend more toward comedies, and this is the one that I gravitated toward from the beginning. I mean, it was gangsters, it was Prohibition, it was
all your favorite things.
It was Scorsese. I mean,
20s, Chicago, New York, Atlantic City,
and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And all
A lot,
the
good
makings
mix.
of it.
Yeah.
Anybody else on
I
board with
love.
me?
I mean, honestly,
yeah.
Michael and I love the show, or
I
we
know.
wouldn't have done the podcast for several months with you. I mean, we love the show, love it, and it's definitely one of. I have to say, in terms of like thinking about it being a series, it was a very lavish show. It had a lot of characters. It had a lot of sets. The sets were very
Costume.
ornate.
The
It had
costumes were
ridiculous
great,
costumes, and it had a lot of storylines. Any other show would not have gone in so many different fingers.
Right.
You know,
So-
it was just really complicated.
Think about this, how dense it was.
Dense.
It was 56 episodes, and it didn't explore all the avenues it could have or should have.
Oh my God!
Not
I
at all.
lost
It
even
could have
close.
been 80 episodes easy. I mean,
easy.
I think my main criticism is that the final season was 8 episodes.
What
It
would
should-
have been
it-
your ideal number?
Well, it was forced because it was supposed to originally be 12.
Or
and they condensed it.
maybe we're looking at it the wrong way in that they should not have introduced as many storylines
Yeah.
as they did if they were only going to have 5 years to do it.
But they didn't
they
know.
didn't
But
know
they
that
didn't
at
know
the
that.
time.
Exactly.
I
So,
think at minimum the final season should have been 12 episodes. I would go one more and say it needed one more full season to truly wrap all this stuff up.
But
I don't know.
We skipped 7 years that are super duper important.
Well, we
that
missed
a lot.
Rothstein dying. We missed a lot of different things.
A
That's fine.
7-year window in a time that had that many characters and that many storylines and that
Yeah.
many dense
Yeah.
historical events that we missed.
But in some ways, though, I kind of like the idea of wanting more. You know, like there's something to that I kind of like.
Right.
Terrence talks about.
I think
We're splitting
think-
hairs, for sure.
Could this particular season gone a couple more episodes? Sure, but I feel like it in a certain way that they made the right decision to end with this season. Because otherwise it just keeps going.
He said
it
that,
just keeps
like
going.
Terrence Winter said, he said, leaving it here is going to leave people wanting more, and I'm good, and I'm comfortable with that. And that doesn't help us because we want more, but it does leave you at the point where, all right, we didn't
There was a
end it
lot
with
of
that
resolution.
tailing off
Right.
of.
But-
Now I wanted the 12 this year. I did want
Sure.
the 12.
I
Had
agree with
they
you,
known that the 5th season would have been the last one, known that after
2 years
the 3rd,
ago,
They would have
they
wrapped
would
it up.
have
it
things
would
would have
have
been different.
played out a little.
We would have not got Sally. We would have
I'm
not got.
talking more
you know,
about pacing.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't have got things like Sally. We wouldn't have got like that heavy Narcisse.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up to
Less
Narcisse.
Sally, less
Right?
flashbacks, more reality.
Yeah, but I think though, because of where they ended the show with essentially the end of Prohibition, if they didn't end it now, it would just like it becomes
Where do we
a
go?
totally
Yeah.
different show,
Right.
a different storyline, and it needed
It doesn't
to end.
work,
Yeah,
right.
You know,
once
it needed to
Prohibition
end.
is over,
Yeah.
then the show is a different show.
All right. Well, so that is the end of our final episode of the Boardwalk Breakdown podcast.
Yes.
I don't believe there'll be any follow-ups, although in my mind I have a nice little wrap-up of greatest hits of our most ridiculous things we said through the years. So we'll that's a possibility. But for now, we are signing off as a group.
At
Michelle,
Boardwalk Break.
Mike, Brendan, Allison, Tim, everyone saying
Thank
sláinte.
you guys so much.
Salud.
Thank you, Michael and Dave.
Salute to my Sicilian friends.
Thank you for listening to Boardwalk Breakdown and follow us on Twitter at Boardwalk Break.